If you have over $200,000 sitting stagnant in your bank, retirement account, or home equity, then you're literally losing money. On this show, you learn how to get that money working for you consistently and conservatively. Learn to grow your nest egg with your host, Sean Winslow. Let's dive in.
Dr. Vic, welcome to the show.
Sean, man, I'm so excited to be here.
Hey, thank you for taking your time. I know you're a busy guy. We were just talking about how you've had over 500% growth in a year. So it means a lot that you're taking time out of your busy day to get on here and share your wealth and knowledge. But like I said in the intro, listeners, Vic is a former, as he says, recovering cardiologist, now multifamily operator, investor, syndicator with over $600 million in multifamily assets, totaling, I think, over 5,000 units. So I think we're gonna get into a lot today. And I know he's gonna bring some knowledge bombs and he's just gonna add a lot of value. So before we get into all the fun stuff, let's get into your background, which I'm sure is fun as well.
Hey, Sean, man, thanks for having me. I like your podcast. I like how you're making a dent in the financial world by showing people, the true ways to generate wealth and go beyond Wall Street, right? We've been taught that Wall Street is the only way to generate wealth. And you've actually taken a sledgehammer to that belief system. Love it. Thank you, Sean. Let's do this. So I guess you want me to know about my background. Look, I'm not even supposed to be here, bro. I'm not even supposed to be on your podcast. I should be in the hospital putting a stent in an obese 45-year-old male. But, sometimes your dreams are not your destiny. And I think that was proven by COVID more than anything else. I believe the whole world is in a reset. And it's almost like it's a litmus test to what you should be doing in this life. And what happened was, and I'll start from the end and I'll go to the beginning. I realized I was chasing the wrong thing. I'm not chasing either a skill set. I'm not chasing like a title. I'm not chasing money even. I wanted freedom. And that one thing literally allowed me to align all my goals, dreams, interests, visions into one unified path. And now I'm living my best life ever. I feel like I got everything I want and I'm excited and joyous to like go in and work even harder for it. And but it all started, when I was a kid. I'm an Indian. I'm from Indian heritage, and so there's three options, Sean, for kids from my background. It's doctor, it's engineer, or it's loser. so like as I grew up, like not the smartest kid, not the smartest crayon in the box, right? Not the hardest working, but after I got into some trouble and started creating some ruckuses, my parents were like, oh my God, I don't know about this one. And something turned on in sixth grade and I was just like, let's do this. And I started working hard and I realized that I could outwill and out muscle my competition because I would just do more than them. And that carried me well. I went to undergrad and then at Emory in Atlanta and then got into medical school. And I did that because, I was sort of pushed by my parents, but also I enjoyed it. It seemed interesting. I like to help people. But it was not until I had serious family challenges where I had people in my own family starting to die of heart attacks that I was like, dang, I need to study this and become a master at it. And the reason I wanted to become a master is because I wanted to help my own family, but also it's literally, you think COVID is the number one killer in the world. It's not. It's still heart disease. And probably 1 out of 2 people on listening to this podcast, someone either they know or they themselves will have a heart event. And it's crazy, right? So then I was like, all right, let's study this. Let's do this. And I clearly remember it was snowing. I was in Milwaukee. I was doing my fellowship. I was getting up at 3 a.m. because I got called to come in to see a patient. And I was like, man, this is not something I want to do for the next 30 years, and because of the lifestyle was pretty brutal. And then on top of that, I would notice the people in the profession who I was admiring. They're like my mentors. We call them attendings, right? And they're like professional doctors who are training younger doctors underneath them. And so my attendings, man, they told me, man, you want to get ahead, see more patients. You want to get more money, do more procedures. And it was like, it's exactly what Kiyosaki said in the cash flow quadrant, right? He's like, these people are the S's the, if for the those listening, I'm sure 90% have read it, but those who haven't, I'm referring to Cash Flow Quadrant, Robert Kiyosaki, Rich Dad, Poor Dad, Part 2, Volume 2. And it's like ESBI, right? 90% of the people, 10% money on the left side, 10% of the people, 90% money on the right side. And right now, all of us are on this trajectory to stay on the left side, to stay limited, to stay small, to not have freedom, to wear the golden handcuffs, to trade our hard-earned time for some marginal amount of money. And I knew that I don't want to follow those guys. And in fact, what some of the stuff that they're doing wasn't even like, ethical. Like I felt like they were just doing procedures just to do them. So I made a decision at that point. And write this down, guys. Your destiny is shaped by the decisions you make in the moment, right? And the definition of breakthrough is the time you take something that's impossible and you realize it is possible. That is the definition of a breakthrough. And I made a breakthrough in my own limited thinking at that point. And I was like, there is a better way. And so what I started doing was I studied and I harnessed my energies outside of medicine. So I tried something called options trading. And Sean's a financial professional, so I'm sure he'd kick my butt, but I tried doing this and it was very difficult. I think I'm a smart guy. I went to medical school. I ended up becoming a cardiologist. I think I went to Georgetown. I went to Emory. I mean, I think I can understand it. I couldn't. I mean, like I could trade, I could do it, but to become a millionaire at options trading, I just didn't know anyone who had done that. And I knew that that was not the route to my victory. So then, real estate made sense, and it just is. It's more common sense. And I know plumbers who become multimillionaires. I know, people just off the street who rags to riches stories. So this is it, Sean. Here it is. Here's the. You want a knowledge bomb, a truth bomb? Here it is.
Let's do it.
The strongest or the most powerful wealth creation vehicle on the planet that's been proven out by 5,000 years of human history is real estate.
Boom.
I think I'm done with the podcast. I'll see you later, bro.
Yeah, we can hang up.
So that was it, man. That was the impetus that, and it's not that I didn't like cardiology. I knew I was going to still always help people in the medical way. I just knew that was not going to necessarily be my main paycheck.
That's what a phenomenal story. And there's so much to go back on there. Obviously the options trading. Yeah. I don't know if you've read the book, Flash Boys.
No, I haven't.
By Michael Lewis, but it's you realize why you have no chance unless you're one of the big players. The stuff that they do to get ahead of the everyday person, and you just have to. It's a full-time job with a full-time team to be able to competitive in that. So, I don't be hard on yourself that that you weren't crushing it in that. But that's a phenomenal story, and what you said about time freedom and aligning your goals. I think that's what switched for me when I really put my main goals first and then everything underneath that aligned to support those goals. And it made everything make more sense, one. And then two, with everything aligned, it just fuels everything in your life to that goal. And like you, one of mine is time freedom. I just want the time to do what I want with who I want, when I want. And real estate is in my opinion, real estate is one of the best avenues to achieve that. But yeah, you had some great points there. I could probably unpack a lot of that, but I know we want to get into some other things as well. So when you transitioned, you went in, what made you decide multifamily? And then off of that, if I'm a listener and I'm kind of new to the game, what's some type of advice that you would give to someone who is looking to make that step?
Yeah. Why multifamily? Why real estate? Right. So as I told you, that I realized that it's been battle tested. Right. There's probably 9 to 10 strategies to create wealth. Most of them involve, investing of some sort. So you can do network marketing, right? You can do businesses. And if you wanted to subdivide the businesses from your own businesses to a franchise, and then you can do real estate investing, and you can do stocks, and options and all that kind of stuff. And, startups, I would also consider it as part of the business things too. So those are the main vehicles to wealth. And in the Fortune 500, I think the top 70% of the Fortune 500 have made either a majority or half their wealth in real estate. So it's if you look at the statistical numbers, it's a no-brainer. Now the question is, why real estate? Because obviously you can leverage, you can grow, you can do it where you can scale it. You can eventually have other people doing it for you. You can do it actively, you can do it passively. So here's your advice to the newbies. If you're not in real estate, get in the game. Oh, Dr. Vic, I thought I can't afford to get into real estate. I'm not a credit investor. You don't need to be. You can just start investing passively. How? Well, there's several ways. You can go to your local real estate investment association club, which now, I guess now is replaced by meetups, but whatever it is, there's these places where real estate investors hang out, and it's free admission or a nominal admission. You go there and you start hanging out with them and see what they're doing. Find someone who you eventually know, like, and trust. Put a marginal amount of money with them and see what happens. Second way, you can invest in a real estate REIT, which is sort of boring, so I wouldn't recommend it that much. Number three is maybe invest in a syndication. Now, I'm not accredited. Okay, fine. If you're sophisticated, you can still do it in those 503Bs that some people still offer. Otherwise, there's groups like Fundrise, CrowdStreet. There are real estate crowdfunding websites that I think $5,000 you can get in the game. And you can earn 6, 7, 8, 9, even 10% interest at times. So that's, the market at best will get you 10% across a decade, right? So, and there's less downside with all these things. Plus you get some tax benefits. So that's how you just get started. Now you're like, you want to do it yourself? Great. Bigger Pockets is the mecca for beginner real estate, right? I mean, they've cornered the market. They've figured it out. They have books, primers, educational podcasts, all that kind of stuff. So if you just use Bigger Pockets as sort of a mini university, within 6 months to a year, you should feel very comfortable buying your own single family home and either renting it out for long-term income or doing fix and flips, right? And, doing that kind of thing. Finally, there's a rise of something called these short-term rentals, which is essentially Airbnbs. That's another way of going about it. You can also do something called house hacking, which is buying your own house, buying not a house, but a duplex perhaps, and having someone else live in one of it, you live in one of it, and after a couple of years, refinance, keep it, go to get the next one, and things like that. So that's great. I've done some of that strategies. Main thing was, me and my father in Atlanta, I couldn't afford to buy houses in DC where I live in Northern Virginia, DC, because it's very expensive. So in 2012, from 2012 to 2015, I had a company called Dare Investments. And what we ended up doing was just buying single family homes, rehabbing them, refining, buying the next one. And we did that in Atlanta, got up to about 30 homes, and it was great. But I knew that, look, I don't know what your salary is if you're listening to us on this call, but if you're making, under 6 figures, this could be enough for you, and you're set, and it's a great strategy. I know a friend in Chicago, he runs the largest RIA out there, and he's done this over time over the last 10, 15 years, and he built up 200 homes, and he's super happy. He has his own plane. He's just living life. But I wanted to go bigger, and I also wanted to figure out how to do it in a way that makes sense for me, because I was still working my W-2. And what I ended up choosing was there's a guy who came and gave me a lecture at one of the conferences I went to, and he talked about multifamily. He talked about syndicating. He says, look, if you work hard for 3 years, the next 30 years of your life is set. I was like, wow, what an amazing trade-off. No one has ever given me that kind of risk reward ratio. And he's like, look, you don't even have to have your own money. I'm like, what? And I call it syndications. I'm like, dude, this sounds illegal. Like, I've been, me and my boys watch the Marvel comics. We heard about syndications. Usually they're the criminal syndicate that we want to take down, right? So he's telling me about this stuff, and I was like, I trust but verify, right? So I went to people like Sean, who are experts in the industry, and I asked them, hey, look, is this true? Can you do this? Is it possible? And back when I was doing it, guys, in 2015, it wasn't like every person on the corner was doing multifamily. It was a little bit still, a new concept, I guess I would say. And so that's what I did. And then in 2015, we started Viking Capital. It was me. I'm a cardiologist working full time with 2 kids doing this. And then I had a buddy of mine who also had kids full time, and he was working in the hospital. He's a hospitalist named Ravi Gupta. And so we started Viking. And our first deal we first joined joint ventures and joined other people in their syndications, because that's a good way to get started. You may not know enough. You may not have built out a team. You don't have a brand or recognition yet. So you join other people in their deals and you bring some capital, right? And it teaches you how to raise capital, which is great. And then eventually we decided within a year, we decided, hey, we can do it ourselves. So we ended up buying this deal in Atlanta, in the south of Atlanta, sort of the rougher part. And we had it we were in the best and final. We were not awarded the deal. It was a $5 million deal. They gave it to some group from New York who had more credentials. And we're like, But then within a month, there was a murder on the property.
Wow.
And then the New York group backed out and they asked us, do you guys want this? We're like, great. So it was nerve-wracking because we're like, dude, a murder just happened. So what do you do? So let me ask you guys on this call, on this podcast, do you take the deal or you walk away? Right? We knew what we wanted. We knew our outcome. We were defiantly committed. We're not interested in becoming multifamily investors and multifamily syndicators. We were committed. And so that's the number one distinction you have to make, guys. If you're listening to this, take this down. Write one circle and put an interested, and put a versus sign and put another circle and put committed. I'm going to be honest with you. 75 to 85% of the people on this podcast who are listening are only interested. Why? Look at your results. You guys haven't done it yet. I'm not saying you won't ever do it. I'm just saying that's what's holding you back. Are you willing to burn the bridges, burn the road? Like, are you willing to walk away from a strong 6-figure salary like I did as a cardiologist and say, you know what? I'm going to pursue this, right? It's not the logical thing to do, but that's what we did. So we walked in and told the brokers, yes, we're going to take down that deal. But before we did that, we're not stupid, right? A murder just happened. We called the police department. We looked at the local crime statistics, the local area. We also talked to the property management companies. We talked to 5 other owners in the area. We drove the property. We understood it. And we're like, you know what? This is a random event. It was just, there's no trend. There's no consistent crime issue. This is just a blip on the radar. And we also hired a police officer. We gave him free. We gave one of the units for free for one of the police officers to stay there. Boom.
Great strategy.
So now we and I'll let you, Sean, sort of dig in onto this at this point, because I don't want to keep blabbing, but
No,
I just thought
that
I thought this is a good, we all have these junctures in life, Sean, and you did too, right? You could have just stayed on Wall Street.
Right.
And
had the golden handcuffs, it would have been easy and comfortable, but
yeah. What made you take that uncomfortable decision, my brother?
I just realized, this doesn't align with, one, my goals, and two, kind of morality and where I want to be in life. And I realized I could just sit here and be comfortable, but at the end of the day, I don't think I'd be happy. So I knew I had to take the discomfort now to have the long-term comfort of reaching my goals and being happy with myself. So that's what I did. It wasn't easy at first. I took a huge pay cut. Couldn't do some of the nice things I could do before. Couldn't, had to stay up late, get up early, educate myself, which you got to do those things to get where you want to go. So I was willing to do that. And I don't necessarily recommend that to everyone, not to just leave your job, cold turkey like that. But I was in a situation where I was, licensed under, FINRA, and I couldn't, legally raise money for 2 different entities. So I had to make a decision there. But yeah, that's why I did it. But I want to hit on that point you made about the property, in the sense of, there was just a murder at that property, and this is going to be, I don't know if it was your first deal, but it might've been one of your first.
Yeah, no, this was our first Viking only deal. Like the other deals were like, hey, Viking with another group. So we're like, right. You know what? We're going to put our flag in the soil. We're going to claim this, and we're going to step out of the rover, walk on the moon. Let's go.
Yeah. And the point I want to make on that is to get in the game sometimes. And I think, quite frankly, a lot of the times you're going to have to do something that's not quite ideal. Like Dr. Vic said, he did do the due diligence. So he knew from a risk standpoint, it was fine, but it still wasn't an ideal situation that he probably would have wanted to get into for his first deal. But sometimes you got to do that to get the first one. to build those relationships with the brokers, to show everyone that you can close, that you can operate. And maybe it's a situation where, hey, you're looking for 100 plus unit, property in a certain market, but it's a competitive market. In order to get in, maybe you could get in buying like a 40 or 50 unit. And sometimes you have to do that to get into those markets. And so I just wanted to hit on that point, because as you and I know, this game is about relationships. And once you foster those and build those, deals will come to you, money will come to you, and it's a long game. So I don't know if you just want to hit on the relationship side of the business, because we briefly spoke before we started recording that you have had over 500% growth in like a year or less than a year. And I don't want to put words in your mouth, but I would, if I was a betting man, I would say a lot of that had to do with relationships. So if you could just touch on that.
Yeah. What you said, Sean, was and it's one of my favorite quotes from Les Brown, a motivational speaker. He was like, when you do what's easy, your life becomes hard, and you do what's hard, your life becomes easy. So it's literally like,
just gave me goosebumps. That one hits.
Even like I've been successful by most conventional means, not saying to brag, but just to show that of the 52 weeks of this year, I would say 75% of those weeks I'm uncomfortable.
Mm-hmm.
And it's because I'm pushing, I'm striving, I'm flexing, I'm pushing my capabilities to the limits. I'm consistently uncomfortable to the point where discomfort is almost like last 2 weeks were relatively quiet and easy. And I was like, dude, I told Michelle, what's wrong? Like, I feel guilty. I'm just sort of, executing the things I'm supposed to execute on, not like straining my capabilities. And, for high performers, that's what you want. You want to continuously push the boundaries, right? If you go to the extreme ends of your your extreme ends of your limits expand. And people like Sean, people like myself, people like some of the people listening to this call, that's what we're doing, right? You keep pushing to the limits. And then now you're like, oh, that's normal, right? Sean's first deal, what was your size of your first deal, Sean?
First big one was 197.
197 units. Like if you told Sean that 6 years ago, he'd be like, are you crazy? There's no way.
Yeah, no way. What are you talking about?
But now he's like, oh yeah, now my next deal, I want it to be 250 or 300 or whatever he wants. So that's one thing. Number two, he said exactly right, the relationship. So, prior to us getting that one deal from that one broker in Atlanta, I've been talking to that broker for 2 years before he really trusted me to give me a good deal. 2 years of conversations, of gifts, of showing up, having coffee, doing all that kind of stuff. And then finally, when the right opportunity came, he gave me this opportunity, but it was not even straight up. Someone else had to back out of it. And then I was there to pick up where they left off. And so once we closed on that, it's off to the races. I think I've bought 5 or 6 deals from that one broker now.
That's awesome.
And it's amazing. So the deal next door, and I'll tell you why multifamily, why generational wealth, right? So again, cardiologist doing pretty good salary wise, work 20 years, 30 years, have a good retirement, have some money in the bank, can take care of my kids. 2 kids go to college. I can live a reasonable life, right? When we sold that deal, we bought the deal next door too. It was 62 units. So all in all, I think it was like $8 million total of acquisitions. And we sold it 2 years later for $13 million.
Wow.
So that one deal essentially put us on the map. It essentially gave me the confidence to know that I can back off from cardiology. And look, just because I backed off cardiology doesn't mean I'm not a doctor. I ended up starting my own clinic, a health optimization clinic called Vitality Institute, where literally I was taking people and instead in traditional medicine, you're putting people on pills. Here, literally I created a lifestyle, wellness, nutrition, and cutting edge sort of biohacking and supplements program to where they could dump their diabetes pills, dump their hypertension pills. And so I have to thank real estate for allowing me to pursue my other passions. And then during COVID, doctors all over the country were asking me, dude, how are you doing all this? What's going on? Like, teach us, like you're doing everything we want to do. And then I didn't want it, but then I'll ask, hey, look, can I call you? Can you coach me? I'm like, dude, I don't do that. Like I'm trying to like run a real estate business and I'm trying to run my clinic. And then, so I ended up starting a third company called Limitless MD. And now I'm coaching these and mentoring these doctors in different things. Some want to buy real estate. Some want to do, want to branch out and go into politics. Some want to start their own biotech companies. They're trying to do all these different things. And now I'm sort of their, coach and mentor. So again, real estate has allowed me to have what I call the 5 freedoms. And number one freedom we talked about is time, right? You must have time freedom. Otherwise you can't do anything and you can't enjoy your life. I know a lot of people are quite wealthy, Sean, and they're I don't know if they're suffering, but they're not happy.
Yeah.
They're working their tail off. And even when they're on vacation, they're like this. They're texting, they're glued to their phone. Early morning, they have to look at their emails because their company is going to go down if they don't. So time freedom is number one for me. And I wanted to achieve that. Number 2 was obviously financial freedom. And we have to go beyond that, man. We want to go to financial abundance. Mm-hmm. Like literally, we live in a scarcity mentality. I mean, you ask people out there how much money they donate to charity. And it's not because they don't want to, it's just they don't feel like they have enough. Like a single digit millionaire nowadays still clips coupons, bros.
100%. $1 million is not what it once was.
Yeah. So I would say, it's really about cash flow and it's really about achieving a certain level of net worth to where you really feel comfortable and you can create that generational wealth. And you don't have to have that, but I'm just saying nowadays it is hard to quote unquote call yourself wealthy if you don't have, a couple of zeros, beyond, the number you initially thought you needed. Next is what I call sort of like vitality freedom or health freedom. Like energy is the newest currency, Sean. If you don't have energy to get up in the morning, just crush it, crush your workouts, make your breakfast for your children, take care of your spouse, have an amazing day at work and be fully energetic for your family in the evening, then what's the point, right? Yep. So I really focus on, working out, training, martial arts, meditation, biohacking, all of it, supplements. I do it all. So that's vitality freedom. Next is what I call, mindset freedom, or really having this unshakable belief system, right? Like literally the market crashes, someone in your family dies, there's COVID, there's all these things that you cannot control. It's having this resilience and this bulletproof mindset of saying, you know what, I got it. I can make this happen. And even if you stumble, you're ready to, get back up there. And then finally, the last one, it's sort of optional, but it's sort of a fun one to have if you can get it. It's geographic or location freedom, being able to work from anywhere in the world, right? So like, I'll give you an example. Next year, we booked July. We'll be in Tuscany for a whole month. And my kids will be hanging out there. My wife will be chilling out. I'll be working from there and it's going to be amazing. And I won't skip a beat because I've already created systems in my life and my business. But I want to go back to what you were asking about relationships. It is all about relationships, my friends. Look, you think you're special because you got money, you can buy the deal. You know what? There's a long line of people like that. Mm-hmm. There's a term in our real estate business that Sean and I know is called dry powder. What that means is there's enough people with cash sitting on the sidelines waiting to deploy it. So money by itself is very rarely going to get you your deals, your relationships, your goals. You need to put time and energy. People work with people whom they know, like, and trust, right? They work with people who they consider friends. So you got to become friends with brokers. You got to become friends with your agents, your professional pillars, your debt broker, your property management company, all of that. And so I feel like we as a company and me as a person, I feel like I want to strive to be generous. I want to strive to give gifts, to spend time with people I like. I want to give them my time, my energy. And not because I want them to give me a deal, because I genuinely like them. I'm curious about them. I want them to do well. And so people want to work with us because they're like, man, these guys, they close on time. They're smart. They're good. They're quick. They're efficient. They treat us well. They're thankful. They're grateful. I mean, who wouldn't want to work with these guys? Okay, let's go. And they have a reputation. Look, they've done it. They've done it again and again and again and again. So now we built a track record, and it all starts with that first deal. So get your first deal done. Show them that you're a true player. Show them that you're interested. Show them that you're going to follow up, and show them that you're not a one hit wonder.
Exactly. I couldn't have said that better. It's all about relationships and reputation. And once you perform, the world's kind of your oyster. just keep that momentum going. I remember after we closed our first one, the amount of deal inflow that was going through my email inbox just exploded, because they're all connected. People see who's closing on deals, even if it's not even on the same team or same brokerage house, that they all see it. And so they know you can perform. And one of the comments the broker made to me after we closed, which I just want to hit on this point real quick, is that obviously they're excited that we performed, we closed, we did what we said, but it was the fact that we made the process so easy for them. We're not there trying to retrade. Obviously, if something huge comes up, you should look at retrading, but we're not the type of people that are just looking at the small things trying to retrade. We made it super easy. We didn't really ask for anything, and that was the one thing that they were most impressed and thankful about. Is that, yeah, one, we did perform and close, but we made their life easy, and I think that's a key part of growing the relationship as well.
Yeah,
But,
absolutely, man. Yeah, I'm right there with you.
So I appreciate you sharing those five those five freedoms, which is important to me. That's what this podcast is about: creating financial freedom through multifamily real estate. But then also we have the side of, it's not what you make, but what you keep. So I just want to ask you, you've already explained why real estate to build wealth, but what's kind of like a life hack that you wish you could tell yourself when it comes to personal finance, or you wish you could have told yourself when you're younger that comes to personal finance, that could maybe help some of our listeners?
Yeah, guys. A legendary life is a scripted life. And I'll say that again. A legendary life is a scripted life. We all have, there's a rule of 187, right? We all have 187 hours in a week. It's really about maximizing and optimizing those hours to achieve that goal you want in life, that you predetermine what is that goal, that vision, that destiny that you're going for. And it will change many times, and you'll have many shifts throughout but their destiny will stay the same, whatever that you're meant to do on this earth. But it's, the goals will mature, they'll evolve, they'll change. I thought I wanted to be a cardiologist, then I thought I wanted to do this clinic, then I thought I wanted to do multifamily. It's not, and I thought I want to be a coach. No, it's not. What I'm trying to do is, everything I touch, I'm trying to up level, and I'm just trying to help people in all the categories that I'm passionate about, which is health, wealth, and mindset. And I realize that's what I'm in. I'm just, and these are all just vessels or vehicles for that ultimate journey. And so what I want people to take away is this: you don't have to be perfect. You just have to get it going, and don't be a task manager. Become a results manager. You're really going after results or outcomes. Your to-do list may or may not get you to your goals, right? And so what I've done is I've created sort of a bulletproof routine that, I have to credit one of my coaches, Craig Ballantyne, who's amazing. So what I did was this: I have a powerful morning routine that I do, of which one of the things I do is I do the first 15 to 45 minutes of my day is working on things that are what I call non-urgent but important. And Sean, give the crowd an example of what do you think is not urgent but is important. Is what's going to move the needle in your business or your personal life or your finances or your family? What's something that normally you don't have time for because the squeakier wheel gets all the grease, right? The thing that's loudest or most urgent gets your time. But sometimes there's things that if you plan and work on, they literally will, light speed your life forward.
Yeah. So to go off of kind of the relationship side of it, especially building with brokers, if you have a current deal maybe under contract or you're pursuing one, you might be just focused on that one broker, but you're forgetting about all the other brokers that you have relationships with. And that's something you don't want to do. You don't want them to feel like you're only talking to them when there's like a carrot dangling in front of you, when there's a deal in front of you. You want to be fostering that relationship all the time. Is it urgent? No, but it's very important.
Yeah. So think about it this way. What if you decided, hey, look, I have an email campaign where I'm going to write personal emails there's only 15 brokers in my city that I'm trying to go after, let's just say. So maybe every week I'll email 5 of my brokers and just ask them how they're doing, what's going on with their life, tell them what I'm up to, and some new multifamily news that that come across your way that they can use in their marketing. Boom, that's very valuable. Yep. Right. So you do that. Like that's what you do in the NUI time, not urgent, but important time. I'll give another example. A lot of people say, I don't have time to work out. Boom, that's a good time to work out. Hey, you know what? I'm not really involved in my kids. I feel like my wife's doing all that or my husband's doing all that. You know what? This is the time where, hey, I'm going to come up with some cool things that we're going to do during the week that are going to show my kids that I care about them. I love them. I want to show them things. Or, you know what? I always wanted to learn this thing, but I don't have time. Boom. Every 30 minutes, I'm going to read 10 pages of a book that's going to advance my life forward. So that's what I do. That block time, I do pretty much 6 days a week. And that's just shot my life. Boom. The second thing I do is on Sundays, I take 50 minutes and I plan out my whole week. Right. So here's a quote that, I think the good old famous Tony Robbins says it's amazing. It's, when you envision it, it's exciting. When you plan it, it's possible. But when you schedule it, it becomes real. Right. Mm-hmm. So literally I'm scheduling anything that's important. If it's on my calendar. Look, if I zoomed into your home, all the people listening, and I looked at your calendar, I can tell you how successful you're going to be in life just by me visualizing your calendar. And the final thing is this: look at your phone right now and look at the last 5 texts you've gotten. The quality of the people you're communicating with, interacting with, will show me what trajectory you're on. Like the last 5 texts mine are like, hey, is it okay if I invest $5 million in your deal? Hey, is it, do you want to still come out to Dallas and check out this project? Hey, we're planning that trip to Kilimanjaro. Are we doing it? That's the kind of text I get. My other friends, they may be getting like, hey, dude, should we do the bar crawl on Thursday? And then maybe let's do all you can eat at the shrimp place. Cool. All right. Like, what's the quality of a text? And the final thing is this, guys. If I had to leave a couple of things, there's some powerful books that have really shaped my life. One is You Can't Hurt Me by David Goggins, right?
Up on the shelf for the ones that are watching.
I'm rereading Atomic Habits for the 3rd time. Powerful book, James Clear. And finally, The One Thing. I've read that 4 times. And I guess my all-time favorite, here's a statistic. When multi-millionaires say Think and Grow Rich, by the time they read it their 8th time, they achieve their net worth goals.
8th time,
they achieve their net worth goals.
Boom. There was a lot of knowledge bombs right there, but
that's it, man. That's all I got, man. Sean, I'm
Dr.
spent.
Vic, I really appreciate your time. That you gave a lot of value. So, look and learn more about any one of my guests on this podcast. This is the one. So Dr. Vic, where can they find you? Yes.
So I have a website. It's my first name, last name.com, vikramraya.com, VIKRAMRAYA.com. There's a lot of free resources out there. If you want to book a call with me, that's how you do it. Number 2, if you want to invest in our company, Viking Capital, we've done, I think, 23 deals. We're in 6 different MSAs. We have $600 million under assets that we've acquired. We're about to acquire 2 more by the end of the year. We're launching a multifamily wealth fund in January. So we're off to the races there. That's vikingmultifamily.com. That's vikingmultifamily.com. And also another way to get a hold of me is on LinkedIn. So linkwithvik.com. That's linkwithvik.com. So look forward to hearing from you guys. If you need anything, I got your back. If you want any more support or questions, love to hear more. But thank you, Sean. Awesome podcast, and keep going, bro.
Thanks, Dr. Vic. I really appreciate your time. And listeners, thanks for tuning in as always. And remember, it's not what you make, but it's what you keep. And what you keep, you can do some amazing things in this world. One, like Dr. Vic mentioned, that time freedom, being able to do what you want, when you want, with who you want. And we can all do that to make this world a better place. So I'll catch you on the next one.
Hey, this is Sean Winslow. After being in the financial service industry for years and having candid conversations with good people just like you, I realized that so many of us are wanting an investment strategy that provides solid returns and consistent income without the bumps in the road. There's little known secret that your financial advisor doesn't want you to know. There is investment out there that is less volatile and the returns are stronger. Get more details by going to greenbriercg.com and clicking on the free e-report. And by the way, if this show has provided you any value, then feel free to leave an honest written review and of course share it with a friend who needs it. See you next week for another great show.